The moment Brandon stood up at our parents' 30th anniversary dinner and said the words, "I'm gay," the entire room froze. My fork clattered against the plate as I stared at him, the brother who had made my life hell for coming out years earlier. How could the perfect son, the one who had mocked me relentlessly, now be standing in the same spotlight I once occupied? The silence stretched so long I could hear the old clock ticking on the wall of our family home in suburban Oakwood just outside Chicago. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's face turned red then pale. Aunt Karen dropped her wine glass and it shattered on the hardwood floor, sending red liquid spreading like blood. Brandon just stood there in his crisp button-down shirt, the golden boy athlete turned successful marketing executive, his usual confident smile gone. He looked smaller somehow. Vulnerable. I felt everything at once. A rush of vindication that burned hot in my chest. Then guilt for feeling it. Then anger that after all these years he could still drag me back into this family chaos. I was 28 now. I had built a life with Marcus in the city. I had therapy sessions and a job I loved and friends who accepted me without question. Yet here I was at this table feeling like the scared 18-year-old again. Brandon cleared his throat. "I know this is a shock. I've been fighting it for a long time. But I can't keep pretending anymore." His voice cracked on the last word. Mom finally spoke, her voice shaking. "Brandon, this is not funny. This is not the time or place." "It's not a joke, Mom," he said quietly. "It's who I am." Dad pushed his chair back so hard it scraped loudly. "We raised you better than this. Both of you." His eyes flicked to me for a second, the old disappointment flaring up again. I could not stay silent. The words came out before I could stop them. "Both of us? You mean like how you raised me to be ashamed of who I am?" The room turned to me. Brandon's eyes met mine, and for the first time in years I saw real fear in them. Not the cocky superiority he used to wear like armor when he called me names or told me I was embarrassing the family. This was different. This was him realizing the ground had shifted beneath him. That night, after the dinner exploded into arguments and tears, I drove back to the apartment I shared with Marcus. The city lights blurred through my windshield as memories flooded in. I remembered the day I came out to the family when I was 18. It was supposed to be a new beginning. Instead, it became the start of years of isolation. Brandon had been 21 then, the star of the family. Quarterback in college, on his way to a big corporate job. Everyone adored him. When I told them at Sunday dinner, my hands shaking under the table, he had laughed. Actually laughed. "Ryan, come on, man. You're not serious. This is just a phase. Stop trying to get attention." Later in the hallway, he cornered me. "You know what this does to Mom and Dad? You're selfish. Keep this crap to yourself." He never hit me, but the words cut deeper. Over the next years, he distanced himself. He made jokes at family gatherings. He told relatives I was confused. When I brought my first boyfriend home for Christmas, Brandon left early and did not speak to me for months. I built walls after that. I moved to Chicago for college. I met Marcus in my sophomore year at a campus LGBT group. He was studying architecture, quiet and steady with kind eyes that made me feel seen for the first time. We had been together 5 years now. He knew the stories about Brandon, but he always encouraged me to forgive. "Family is complicated," he would say. "People change." I was not sure I believed that anymore. When I got home, Marcus was waiting on the couch with 2 cups of tea. He took one look at my face and pulled me into his arms. "What happened, baby?" "Brandon came out," I said into his shoulder. "At the anniversary dinner. In front of everyone." Marcus pulled back to look at me. "You're kidding." I shook my head and told him everything. The silence. The looks. The way Dad had glared at both of us like we were the same disappointment now. Marcus listened without interrupting. When I finished, he squeezed my hand. "How do you feel?" "Like the universe is playing a cruel joke," I admitted. "Part of me wants to laugh. Part of me wants to scream at him for all the years he made me feel broken. And part of me, God, I hate this part, feels sorry for him." Marcus nodded slowly. "That's a lot to carry, Ryan. You do not have to decide anything tonight. But whatever you choose, I am here. I leaned into him, grateful for the solid warmth of his presence. In the quiet of our apartment, with the distant hum of the city outside, I wondered what price Brandon was about to pay. And what price I might have to pay too if I let him back into my life. The next morning my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Family meeting tonight. No excuses. We need to talk about this. I stared at the screen for a long time. The old fear crept in. The fear of being the problem again. But something else stirred too. A quiet determination. This time I was not the scared kid. This time I had choices. And whatever happened next, the perfect brother was about to learn what it felt like to walk in my shoes. I arrived at the family home that evening with Marcus beside me. He had offered to come and I accepted. His hand on my lower back as we walked up the familiar porch steps gave me strength. The house looked the same as always, the white siding and blue shutters, the basketball hoop in the driveway where Brandon used to practice for hours while I watched from the sidelines, feeling small. Inside, the tension was thick enough to choke on. Mom had made coffee like this was some normal gathering. Dad sat at the head of the table, his jaw set. Brandon was already there, looking exhausted, in jeans and a hoodie. He glanced up when we entered and his eyes lingered on Marcus for a moment. I saw the flicker of surprise. He had never really known my boyfriend beyond brief polite hellos over the years. Glad you could make it, Dad said flatly, not looking at me. We sat down. Mom started talking first, her voice tight. This is a family crisis. We need to figure out how to handle it. Brandon, you have to understand what this means for all of us. The church, the neighbors, your career. Brandon rubbed his face. I know, Mom. I have been thinking about nothing else for years. I tried to be what everyone wanted. The perfect son. The straight, successful guy. But it was killing me inside. I could not help the bitter laugh that escaped. Killing you? Try being the one everyone pointed at as the family embarrassment for a decade. All eyes turned to me. Brandon flinched. Ryan, I know I was awful to you. I was wrong. Wrong. I leaned forward, my voice rising. You told me I was disgusting. You said I was going to hell. You convinced Dad to stop paying for my college until I got my head straight. I had to take out loans because of you. I lost friends because you spread rumors. And now you want what? Forgiveness because it is your turn. The room went quiet again. Marcus squeezed my knee under the table. Dad cleared his throat. Enough. This is not about old fights. This is about moving forward as a family. Easy for you to say, I shot back. You never had to choose between being honest and being loved. Mom started crying softly. I just want my boys to be happy. Both of you. But this. 2 gay sons. What will people think? Brandon looked at me, then really looked. I deserve your anger, Ryan. I projected all my fear onto you. Every time I saw you being brave, it reminded me of what I was hiding. I hated myself and I took it out on you. I am sorry. I do not expect you to forgive me right away. But I am asking for a chance. I wanted to believe him. The little brother in me who had once idolized the golden boy wanted to reach out. But the man I had become remembered too many nights crying in my dorm room after another cutting comment from him. Too many holidays where I sat alone while he was celebrated. Marcus spoke up for the first time, his voice calm and steady. This is not just about the past. Ryan has built a good life despite everything. If we are going to move forward, everyone needs to respect that. Including respecting our relationship. Dad's eyes narrowed, but he did not argue. For once, the meeting ended without any real resolution. Just promises to pray about it and take it one day at a time. As Marcus and I drove home, I stared out the window at the passing suburbs. You were strong in there, Marcus said. But I saw how much it hurt you. It did, I admitted. Seeing him like that, broken, it brought everything back. But it also made me realize something. I survived what he is just starting to face. The stares, the whispers, the conditional love. Part of me wants to help him. The other part wants him to feel it all so he understands what he did to me. Marcus nodded. That is human, Ryan. The question is which part you are going to listen to. Over the next weeks, the family drama unfolded in pieces. Brandon lost a big client at work when word got out. Old high school friends stopped returning his calls. Mom called me crying one night saying Dad had started drinking more and refused to talk about it. I threw myself into my own life. Work at the marketing firm. Date nights with Marcus where we cooked together or walked along the lake. Quiet moments where he reminded me I was enough. But the pull toward Brandon was there like an old wound that would not heal. One afternoon Brandon showed up at my office unannounced. He looked thinner, tired. Can we talk? Just us. I hesitated then nodded. We walked to a nearby park and sat on a bench. The fall leaves were turning red and gold around us. I have been thinking a lot, he said, about how I treated you. I was terrified, Ryan. Every time you came out, I saw my own future and I could not handle it. So I pushed you away. I made you the villain so I could stay the hero. It was cowardly. And I am paying for it now. I stared at the ground. Do you know what it felt like when you told Mom I was just going through a rebellious phase? When you said I was recruiting other guys? I lost my relationship with half the family because of you. I know, he whispered, and I cannot take it back. But I am here now. The real me. The one who has been hiding since we were kids. Remember when we were little and I used to protect you from bullies? Somewhere along the way I became the bully. I want to make it right. Not for me. For us. I felt the walls crack a little. But trust was not something I could hand over easily. Not after years of betrayal. That night I told Marcus about the conversation. He listened then pulled me close. You do not owe him anything. But holding on to hate might cost you more than forgiving him would. I lay awake long after he fell asleep. The price of forgiveness. The price of resentment. Both came with heavy costs. And I was the one who had to decide which one I was willing to pay. The holidays approached, and with them the inevitable family gathering. Mom insisted on a big Thanksgiving dinner to bring everyone together. I knew it was her way of pretending things could go back to normal. Marcus and I talked about skipping it, but in the end we decided to go. I was not going to let Brandon's situation dictate my choices anymore. The house smelled of turkey and pie when we arrived. Brandon was already helping in the kitchen, which was new. He used to sit back and let Mom and the women do everything. Now he was chopping vegetables, his movements careful like he was trying to prove he belonged. Dinner started tense but civil. Dad said grace mentioning guidance for our family in difficult times. I kept my eyes open watching Brandon. He looked uncomfortable but he did not argue. Halfway through the meal Aunt Karen could not hold back anymore. So Brandon, are you seeing anyone? A nice girl maybe? The table went silent. Brandon set his fork down. No, Aunt Karen. I am not. Because I am gay. I thought we covered that. She huffed. Well, maybe it is just a phase like Ryan had. I felt Marcus stiffen beside me. Before I could respond, Brandon spoke. It was never a phase for Ryan. And it is not for me. I was the one who was wrong about him. About everything. The words hung in the air. For the first time someone in the family was defending me publicly. It should have felt good. Instead it felt complicated. Like he was using his apology to ease his own guilt. Later in the backyard, while the others watched football, Brandon found me alone. Thanks for coming today. I know it is not easy. I shrugged. Marcus wanted to support Mom. She has been calling a lot. He nodded. She is struggling. Dad too. They keep asking if I have tried praying it away. Like I have not spent years doing exactly that. I looked at him then. Really looked. The confident swagger was gone. In its place was a man who seemed lost. It gets better, you know. Not the family part necessarily. But living honestly. Finding people who love you for who you are. Like Marcus? He asked. Yeah, like Marcus. I smiled, thinking of the man inside who had become my anchor. He has seen me at my worst. The nights I could not stop crying after family fights. He stayed. Brandon looked down at his hands. I never gave you that. I'm sorry, Ryan. I wish I could go back and be the brother you needed. The wind picked up, scattering leaves across the yard. I wanted to tell him it was too late, that some wounds left scars that changed you forever. But another part of me, the part that had once looked up to him, wondered if people could truly change. The conversation ended when Mom called us in for pie. But the seed was planted. A tiny crack in the wall I had built. Back at home, Marcus and I curled up on the couch. You seemed different with him tonight, he observed. I do not know, I said. Seeing him hurt, it is stirring up old stuff. But also new stuff. Like maybe I do not have to carry the hate anymore. But forgiving him feels like betraying the kid who suffered alone. Marcus kissed my forehead. Forgiveness is not about forgetting the pain, Ryan. It is about choosing not to let it control you anymore. Whatever you decide, I support you. But think about what keeping the anger is costing you. The next few months brought more tests. Brandon started dating a guy named Tyler quietly at first. When he brought him to a family barbecue, Dad barely spoke to them. Mom tried too hard to be nice. I watched from the sidelines, feeling the familiar sting of being the outsider, except now there were two of us. One night Brandon called me late. Tyler broke up with me. Said I am too messed up from family stuff. He does not want to deal with the drama. His voice was thick with tears. I get it now, Ryan. What you went through. The loneliness. The rejection. I gripped the phone tighter. Yeah, it sucks. Can we meet? I need to talk to someone who understands. I agreed despite the knot in my stomach. We met at a coffee shop the next day. Brandon looked wrecked. I lost another friend this week, he confessed. One of my old college buddies said he cannot be around that lifestyle. It is like everything I built is crumbling. I listened as he poured out his pain. The therapy sessions he had started. The nights he could not sleep. The fear that he would never find real love because he had spent so long hating that part of himself. As he talked, I felt the anger I had carried for so long begin to shift. Not disappear, but change shape. Into something closer to empathy. But empathy had a price too. Marcus started noticing how much time I was spending with Brandon. I am happy you are working through this, he said one evening after I came home from another long talk with my brother. But I miss you, Ryan. It feels like the family drama is taking over again. He was right. I had been so focused on Brandon's awakening that I was neglecting the man who had stood by me through everything. The guilt hit hard. That weekend I planned a special date for Marcus. We drove out to the lake where we had our first kiss years ago. Under the stars I held him close. I am sorry if I have been distant. You are my priority. Always. He smiled against my shoulder. I know. But I also know how important healing with your brother is. Just do not lose yourself in it, okay? I promised I would not. But deep down I wondered if I could keep that promise. The path to reconciliation was full of landmines. Each step forward with Brandon seemed to cost me something, with Marcus or with my own peace. Spring arrived with its promise of renewal, but our family remained stuck in winter. Brandon had come out publicly on social media, which caused another wave of fallout. Some relatives stopped inviting him to things. Dad started avoiding family events altogether. Mom called me more often, begging me to talk some sense into your brother, as if his sexuality was a choice he could unmake. I found myself in the strange position of defending Brandon. The role reversal was dizzying. One Saturday Marcus and I hosted a small dinner party with friends. Brandon asked if he could come. I hesitated, then said yes. It was the first time he was entering my world, my chosen family. He arrived with a bottle of wine, looking nervous in a way I had never seen. My friends were warm, but I could see them watching him carefully. They knew the stories. During dinner, the conversation turned to a recent Pride event. Brandon listened quietly, then shared his own experience of attending one alone for the first time. It was terrifying and liberating at the same time, he said. I kept looking over my shoulder like someone from my old life would see me. One of my friends nodded. We have all been there. The fear does not go away overnight. Later, when everyone had left, Brandon helped me clean up. Your friends are good people, he said. They did not judge me. They know what it is like, I replied. The real kind of family is the one you choose when blood fails you. He winced but nodded. I deserve that. But I am trying, Ryan. Therapy twice a week now. I even joined a support group for people who came out later in life. I wanted to be impressed. Part of me was. But the old scars itched. Why now, Brandon? After all this time, why could you not have been there for me when I needed you? He set the dish towel down and faced me. Because I was a coward. I thought if I pushed hard enough the feelings would go away. When they did not, I blamed you for making it real. For showing me it was possible to live openly. I hated you for being braver than me. The honesty hit like a punch. I had to sit down. That is messed up. I know, he said. And I am living with the consequences every day. My career is stalled. My social circle is half the size it was. But the worst part is knowing I hurt you the most. The one person who should have been able to count on me. We talked until late. He told me about the nights he cried in his car after dates with women pretending to be something he was not. The shame he felt every time he saw a happy gay couple. The way he had convinced himself that what he felt for men was just admiration or envy. When he left, I felt drained but lighter somehow. Marcus found me on the couch staring at the wall. How was it? He asked. Intense. He is really trying. But every apology brings up the pain again. Marcus sat beside me. Healing is not linear, Ryan. You are allowed to have mixed feelings. But ask yourself what you need to move forward. Not what he needs. What you need. The question stayed with me for days. What did I need? Revenge? Closure? A brother again? The answer came unexpectedly a few weeks later when Brandon called in a panic. Dad had a heart scare. He is in the hospital. Can you come? I rushed there with Marcus. Dad was stable, but the incident shook everyone. In the waiting room, Mom hugged Brandon tightly, then me. For a moment, we were just a family again, scared and clinging to each other. Later, Dad pulled me aside when we were alone. I have been hard on both of you, he admitted, his voice weak. I thought being tough would make you strong. But maybe I just made you suffer. I am sorry, son. It was not a full acceptance. But it was something. A crack in the armor. As we left the hospital, Brandon walked with Marcus and me to the parking lot. Thank you for coming. Both of you. He looked at Marcus. You are good for him. I can see that now. Marcus nodded. He is good for me too. In that moment, watching my brother extend a tentative olive branch to the man I loved, I felt the shift. The price I had paid for holding on to anger was isolation. The price of forgiveness might be vulnerability. But perhaps it was worth it. Summer brought heat waves and a new kind of tension. Brandon had started a new job at a smaller firm, more accepting of who he was. He was dating again, cautiously this time, a teacher named Alex. But the family wounds were still raw. Dad had recovered, but he avoided deep conversations. Mom kept suggesting church retreats for Brandon, like spiritual boot camp could fix him. I was caught in the middle more than ever. Brandon called me for advice about coming out at work. Marcus grew quieter when the topic came up. One night, after another long phone call with my brother, Marcus finally spoke his frustration. I love that you are rebuilding your relationship with him, Ryan. I really do. But it feels like I am competing with the past sometimes. Every family crisis pulls you back in, and I am left waiting. His words stung because they were true. I had been so focused on navigating Brandon's journey that I had missed date nights and let conversations drift back to family drama. I am sorry, I said, taking his hands. You have been my rock through all of this. I do not want to lose what we have. We talked late into the night, making a pact to protect our relationship. I set boundaries with Brandon, limiting calls to certain times. It helped, but the guilt lingered. The real test came in July. Brandon invited me to join him at a pride parade. I want to experience it with someone who gets it, he said. Someone who has been through the fire. I agreed, and Marcus came too. The three of us marched together under rainbow flags, the energy electric around us. For the first time, Brandon looked free. He laughed when people cheered. He held a sign that said, "Better late than never." Afterward, we grabbed food at a street vendor. Brandon watched Marcus and me with a soft expression. "You two make it look easy. The way you support each other. I want that someday." "You will find it," Marcus said kindly. "When you are ready." That night back home, Brandon texted me, "Thank you for today. It meant more than you know. I love you, brother." I stared at the message for a long time before replying, "Love you too." It was the first time I had said it in years. The words felt both foreign and right. But peace never lasts long in our family. A week later, Mom called in tears. "Your father wants to change the will. He says he cannot leave the house to both of you if you are living this lifestyle. He thinks it sends the wrong message." The betrayal hit hard. After the hospital moment, I had hoped for progress. Instead, Dad was doubling down. Brandon was devastated when I told him. "He is choosing tradition over his own sons," he said bitterly. After everything, we confronted Dad together at the house. The argument was loud and painful. Dad defended his position with Bible verses and concerns about the family legacy. Mom cried in the corner. In the end, nothing was resolved. But Brandon and I left closer than we had been in decades. The shared fight bonded us in a new way. Driving home, I reflected on the price everyone was paying. Dad was losing his sons emotionally. Mom was losing her peace. Brandon was losing his old identity. I was losing the simplicity of my resentment. And Marcus was losing pieces of my attention. Forgiveness was not free. It demanded everything. Fall returned, and with it a family wedding for a cousin. It was the first big event since everything changed. Brandon and I both attended with our partners. Alex and Marcus got along surprisingly well, trading stories about dealing with stubborn Thompsons. During the reception, Dad approached us. He had aged in the past year. The heart scare had left its mark. "I have been thinking a lot," he said, "about what kind of man I want to be. What kind of father." He did not apologize fully, but he shook Marcus's hand and asked Brandon about his new job. Small steps, but steps. Later, Brandon pulled me aside near the dance floor. The music was soft and couples swayed under string lights. "I never thought I would say this, but I am grateful for how things turned out. Not the pain, but the growth. You showed me it was possible to be gay and whole, to have love and family. I am proud of you, Ryan. And I hope one day you can be proud of me too." I looked at my brother, the man who had once been my tormentor and now stood before me as an equal in struggle. "I am getting there, Brandon. It is not easy, but I see you trying. That matters." We hugged for the first time in years. It was awkward and brief but real. Marcus joined us, and the three of us stood together watching the celebration. In that moment, I understood the full weight of the journey. The mockery, the coming out, the confrontations, the slow rebuilding. Each of us had paid a price. Brandon lost his perfect image. I lost years of peace. Our parents lost the illusion of control. Marcus risked losing parts of me but chose to stay. The family would never be the same. The wounds had changed us all. But in their place, something new was growing. Fragile, imperfect, but ours. As the night ended and we said our goodbyes, I realized the truth. Forgiveness was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a different one. One where we chose each other despite the scars. Can true forgiveness truly heal the deepest betrayals, or does the pain we endure from those closest to us simply reshape who we become forever?